Eliz RD here with Why Nutrition Standards. This episode presents an overview of the DRI protein standards focusing on total protein. So let's jump in. In episode 1, I introduced the DRI nutrition standards, which suggest healthy intake levels of essential nutrients for healthy persons of all ages. These standards provide a foundation that you can use to help determine your nutritional needs and make informed choices about your diet. The ideas introduced in episode 1 are used throughout the other episodes, so I highly recommend it. The DRI standards provide guidance for the 6 essential nutrient groups, calories, and exercise. My channel will be covering each of these groups. This is the second of 2 episodes featuring protein. Episode 4 focused on protein amino acids, and this episode focuses on total protein. To recap, protein is a calorie nutrient, meaning that it provides calories to the body in addition to other nutrient components. Proteins are made up of about 20 amino acids that combine in different ways to make a variety of proteins. 9 of these amino acids are considered essential because they cannot be produced by the body and must be consumed from food or supplements. Foods that contain all of the essential amino acids in adequate amounts are considered complete proteins. Episode 4 focused on how to meet nutritional needs for the essential amino acids by consuming complete protein foods and food combinations. This episode builds on that information, since the DRIs for total protein assume an intake of high-quality protein. A high-quality protein is a complete protein that is also well absorbed. Generally speaking, complete proteins from animal sources are well absorbed, and there are some plant foods such as tofu and tempeh that are considered high-quality proteins. Combinations of protein-rich plant foods and combinations of protein-rich plant and animal foods can provide high-quality protein as well. I'm not suggesting that all protein intake in a healthy diet needs to be high quality, just that this was used as a baseline in determining the DRI standards for total protein intake. This overview will discuss the RDA minimum protein needs that are needed to prevent deficiency. I will also introduce a DRI subcategory that offers a range of protein intake and is intended to reduce chronic disease risk as well as provide an adequate intake of essential nutrients. The DRIs for protein were last updated in 2005 and are currently being reviewed, so we can expect a future update. There is discussion in the current scientific literature that the RDA minimum protein amount may be low. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the current protein RDA values. The protein RDAs provide minimum protein needs as grams of high-quality protein per day. Notice on this chart, adapted from the National Academy's documentation, that the values are calculated as grams of protein per kilogram, which vary by life stage group. Multiplying the grams per kilogram by an individual's weight in kilograms will calculate the minimum grams of protein needed per day for that person. These minimum protein levels are set for healthy individuals. Notice on this chart that 0.8 grams per kilogram is used to calculate the protein RDA for adults. To determine my own protein RDA, I would multiply 0.8 by my body weight in kilograms, which gives me 48 grams of protein per day. This is my RDA minimum protein requirement to prevent deficiency. This calculation may overestimate protein needs for overweight people. Some professionals suggest using a goal weight in the calculation instead of actual weight for persons with higher weight. In addition to the minimum RDA calculation, the DRIs describe a range of protein intake that provides more flexibility for meeting protein needs within a healthy diet. The acceptable macronutrient distribution range, or AMDR, is another subcategory of the DRIs. Notice on this chart, adapted from the National Academy's documentation, that protein, carbohydrate, fat, and the 2 essential fatty acids are listed as macronutrients. These nutrients provide calories to the body in addition to other nutrients. The AMDR, broken down by age, lists healthy ranges for these nutrients as a % of total daily calories. This guidance is intended to reduce the risk of chronic disease and provide adequate amounts of essential nutrients. You can see on the chart that the adult AMDR is 20 to 35% of total calories for fat, 45 to 65% for carbohydrate, and 10 to 35% for protein. Staying within these percentages helps to guide food choices to provide adequate amounts of the vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and other nutrients that the body needs. Basically, staying within the ranges forces the diet to include a variety of food groups. This helps to keep the body in metabolic balance and reduce the risk of chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes and heart disease. To get from percent calories to a nutrient amount in grams, there are general conversion factors that are used to determine how many calories per gram each of these nutrients provide. Protein and carbohydrate provide 4 calories per gram, and fat provides 9 calories per gram. So let's look more specifically at the AMDR for protein. For adults, the protein AMDR is 10 to 35% of total calories. So let's figure out how this range translates to grams of protein per day. We can use my calorie level of 1,800 calories per day and my weight of 60 kilograms for the calculation. As you can see from this chart, the calculated AMDR of 10 to 35% of 1,800 calories translates to 45 to 158 grams of protein per day, or 0.75 to 2.6 grams of protein per kilogram, using my weight of 60 kilograms. Where I land within this range depends on my overall diet and the choices I make to meet the rest of my nutritional needs. The range is intentionally broad to accommodate different lifestyles and activity levels. Since the lower end of my AMDR range, 45 grams, is below my RDA of 48 grams, I would use the 48-gram RDA as my protein minimum. For a minimum protein intake, the recommendation is to consume either the RDA or the lower end of the AMDR, whichever is higher. Otherwise, keep within the AMDR range. The 2025 to 2030 Dietary Guidelines for Americans, which were just released in January 2026, recommend consuming 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram body weight per day. This is within the 10 to 35% AMDR range for me, offering about 16 to 21% of my calorie intake. The dietary guidelines refer to the DRIs for guidance, and I will be discussing the dietary guidelines specifically in a separate episode. In this episode, I have introduced the AMDR, another DRI subcategory that is intended to reduce chronic disease risk. This chart summarizes the DRI subcategories introduced in episodes so far. In this episode of the DRI Protein Standards, we have discussed protein minimum levels, which are intended to prevent deficiency. I have also introduced the acceptable macronutrient distribution range, which is intended to reduce the risk of chronic disease while providing adequate intakes of essential nutrients. The recommendation is to consume at least the calculated RDA or the lower level of the AMDR, whichever is higher, and to otherwise keep within the AMDR. The DRI chart data presented today is available online. I've provided links at the end of the video so that you can check the data out on your own. Look for DRI carbohydrate standards coming up next. Future episodes will review more DRI standards and explore how these standards inform nutrition labeling, the 2025 to 2030 Dietary Guidelines for Americans, creating healthy diets, and more. Like and subscribe to follow along and learn more. Until next time, this is Eliz RD with Why Nutrition Standards.